To deny people their human rights is to challenge their very humanity. This quote, made famous by the South African activist Nelson Mandela, explains why it is necessary for every citizen in the United States to have their basic human rights. As I grow older, I realize how much work is needed to be done in order for everyone in our country to be equal. Each day there are new issues brought up in the news, and it reminds us that it's time for me and everyone else to step up and make positive change. Not only to improve our country, but to improve the lives of our future generations. The 3 topics near and dear to my heart that I will be discussing with you today are topics that are possible speech topics for the future. They are transgender rights, veterans' rights, and women's rights. These 3 topics affect not only my loved ones, but many adults and children in our country. Let's get started. One issue that has been recently brought up many times in the news is transgender rights. There have been many different states and different government officials trying to withhold these individuals' rights with new laws trying to be passed. Similar to many human rights issues, these transgender issues have been around since the early 20th century, going to courts and making appearances on the news. Luckily, millennials and Gen Z have been protesting recent laws and speaking at Capitol meetings and government meetings across the country. I believe that if we continue with these protests and many other people fighting in court, the transgender community one day will be able to gain the equality that is needed for them to thrive in life. The promise of equality throughout our nation has been protected by the citizens that decide to go to war and fight for our freedom and our equal rights. And that brings me to my next topic, which is veterans' rights. Unfortunately, veterans' rights have been pushed aside for many years. They go to different countries to fight for our freedoms and our rights and come back with devastating health issues, whether it be physical health issues or mental health issues. They aren't provided with the necessary assistance once they return to improve their lives and ensure that they're going to be thriving in our communities once they return. Because of the lack of assistance, this can lead to many devastating incidents such as homelessness, drug abuse, which can then lead to worse things like devastating crimes in the community. Because of the lack of assistance, many veterans feel like they're not being heard, or they're going to fight for us for no reason. When they come back, they're pretty much ignored. I believe if our communities and our citizens help to protest and speak up about it, this can bring much more attention to this issue and bring a positive light to this issue, guaranteeing that the men and women that enlist come back and are being pushed in a direction where they can succeed in life. Unfortunately, unlike the men in the Army or Marines, Navy, Air Force, the women also have a much more devastating time because they deal with harassment or other incidents. Which brings me to my next topic, which is women's rights. Women's rights have been going on, the fight for them has been going on since the beginning of time. During the pass of the 19th Amendment, it allowed us to finally be able to vote. And unfortunately still, women are still fighting for our equal rights. We are fighting for equal pay, less tax, the pink tax. Women have been going to courts fighting issues such as just basic education and reproductive rights. And it's still, to this day, we're still not seeing a lot of progression like we do in other countries. In my opinion, I believe we deserve full equality, and hopefully each gender is able to achieve full equality, whether it be educational rights, reproductive rights, equal pay, everything. Everybody deserves to be equal, my opinion. We also need to educate our children on why it is necessary that all genders deserve and earned equal human rights over time. Ultimately, these 3 points, these 3 potential speech topics are all strong contenders for future speeches. I've explained how each topic could improve many lives, and I hope to enrich my knowledge further on these issues. In order to bring to light human rights issues in our country, I've explained my first topic on how the transgender movement is currently being attacked by people in office. With the second topic, I clarified why veterans are struggling once they return from war without the necessary assistance. And my third topic made clear the struggles that women are still facing today. While working on this assignment, I've decided that the best topics for me to discuss further are transgender rights for my informative speech, and for my persuasive speech, I will be speaking on veterans' rights. I believe both topics should definitely be discussed further, and I hope to broaden your knowledge in the future. Referring back to Mandela's quote, I agree that humans shouldn't have to be challenged in order to live life humanely. Why should we be judged and criticized by the way we are naturally?